Hello, and welcome to the fourth in our Advent devotion series. As you can see, I have changed up my location, so welcome to my living room. Welcome to my Christmas tree. Thanks for being here as we embark on this last weekly devotion in Advent right before the Christmas season. We are continuing our readings from A Surprising God, Advent Devotions for an Uncertain Time. I'm going to be focusing on week 4, day 7. The title is Cosmic Rejoicing. The scripture selections for today are John chapter 1, verses 1 through 14, and Psalm 98. I'm going to be reading Psalm 98, and I'm going to be reading it right out of the ELW, our hymnal. Fun fact, the hymnal has so many other things besides just wonderful songs. It has all of the psalms in here as well, and in the back it has the entirety of Luther's Small Catechism. A lot of good resources in this book. Psalm 98. Sing a new song to the Lord, who has done marvelous things, whose right hand and holy arm have won the victory. O Lord, you have made known your victory. You have revealed your righteousness in the sight of the nations. You remember your steadfast love and faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God. Shout with joy to the Lord, all you lands. Lift up your voice. Rejoice and sing. Sing to the Lord with the harp and the voice of song. With trumpets and the sound of the horn. Shout with joy. Before the King, the Lord, let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell therein. Let the rivers clap their hands, and let the hills ring out with joy before the Lord, who comes to judge the earth. The Lord will judge the world with righteousness, and the peoples with equity. The word of the Lord. And now for our reading. It selects specifically one of the verses out of Psalm 98 to start us off with. All the ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God. A mystical cord binds the world together. Like gravity, it pulls with invisible but tremendous power. Many of us feel the cord during the Olympics or the World Cup, when athletes from all over the globe converge in one city, bringing the attention from their respective countries with them, and the cord sometimes sparkles with electric brightness. When New Year's comes around, we can watch the fireworks light up the night in Australia, and then pass like a baton from Australia to Asia, from Asia to the Middle East, and Africa and Europe. Hurtling across the Atlantic Ocean, the baton passes to North and South America for another sprint. Christmas brings us together too, though often in more subtle ways. The birth of Christ reminds us that we are all God's children, and as one human family, the walls that separate us feel harsher, whether they are visible walls of steel or invisible walls made of something stronger, like resentment or hatred. Every year, Yuri Kochiyama asked for stamps for Christmas and got testy with her family if she was given anything else. Yuri used the stamps to send letters to political prisoners all over the country. Once Yuri established a bond with someone, a stream of letters continually flowed, and maintaining these friendships was paramount. She never wanted religious differences to become barriers, and even practiced Sunni Islam, along with Christianity for a time, because she was convinced God's compassion flowed through both. Part of the urgency around the letters stemmed from the fact that she, too, had been locked away for a time and surrounded by barbed wire. As a young woman, Yuri spent 2 years in the Santa Anita Assembly Center in Jerome, Arkansas, an internment camp for people of Japanese descent during World War II. She never forgot the humiliation of living in a converted horse stall, or the constant stench of manure, or the indignity of being incarcerated on the basis of race. She knew that even small gestures helped people claim their dignity under such circumstances. Letter writing was a way of nurturing her friends' inner light and reminding them of their identities as children of God. Christmas ought to remind us that we are all beloved children of God and held in the same affection as the Christ child. And as we celebrate, hopefully we will all experience some of its unifying power. This, it seems, sits at the heart of its holiness as a season. The most precious gifts of Christmas are the shared gifts, like joy and hope. And the precious words of the season are all, we and us. Isaiah says, "Unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given." The birth of Christ brought new meaning to the word us. Among those present to celebrate Jesus' birth were sheep and shepherds, choirs of angels and glistening stars. Differences existed without becoming barriers, and this joyous mingling reflects the bliss of heaven, where cherubim and seraphim and elders encircle the throne, along with 4 living creatures. The first living creature like a lion, the second living creature like an ox, the third living creature with a face like a human face, and the fourth living creature like a flying eagle. From Revelation chapter 4, verse 7. Each heavenly being has individual beauty, but they glorify God together. The wonder intensifies as the circle expands, and surely the same is true for us. I often think about when we talk about unity, or specifically Christian unity, there is sometimes this pressure to conform, to follow just one certain path or one certain way to be. And I think that very narrowly defines God and defines God's love. I think that we are called as Christians to expand that circle, see in ways in which we can push the boundaries. And when I say push the boundaries of what society, what the world around us has taught us is acceptable, because God's kingdom is subversive. God's kingdom pushes the boundaries of what we have come to think of as propriety, what we have come to think of as acceptable in the boundaries of humanity, of society. That there is a love that is more encompassing. And I think Yuri's story here, how she practices both Christianity and Sunni Islam, is one of those things where even more traditional religious elites would say, well, you can't really do that. Those are 2 separate things. But interfaith people, interfaith households, interfaith marriages, those do exist. Those are things, and that I think that is an expansive view of God's love, of God's compassion for the world, that there's not just this narrowly defined way to be. And we as Christians profess to have found a way to be, but it works for us. And I touched upon this in Bible study the last week, and it was said more elegantly in the book, I believe it's finding your neighbor, or loving your neighbor through God, or finding God in our other neighbors. It's a look at theology and a look at how we define our lives as Christians through the lens of other religions and other faiths, to kind of get a better understanding of who we are and what we are about, by looking at our neighbors and what our neighbors do, and their rituals and their worship and their belief systems as well. And so this idea of that we have found, or we feel that we have found the thing that works for us, in a similar way of saying, if we've found our soulmate, or we found the one that we truly love, and we say that there's no one else for me. And I think in the grand scheme of things, that might not necessarily be true. I hesitate to think that there is just one select path for you in your life, and maybe that doesn't have to be into a romantic relationship. Maybe it is even about a career or a hobby, and like this is the one thing that brings me joy, or this is the one part of my passion, my career, my job, my ministry, my hobby, my focus, and this is what I was meant to do. And I think that takes away some of the choice because I think there are plenty of things that we could be really good at. I think about when people ask me, oh, so you always knew you wanted to be a pastor, and that is not the case. I didn't know I was always going to be a pastor. And I have other interests as well. I think I could have made a really good zoologist. I have a strong love for animals and the beauty of nature and biodiversity. I think I could have been really happy and been a really good zoologist or biological scientist. But I happen to be a pastor and I am really enjoying it. It's been 7 months, but you know I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm enjoying my time here at Mount Hope and being with all of you and getting to spend time with you, even like this, even in this virtual space where I don't even really know who is on the other line, but yet we still have this this connection here that we are sharing in this moment. And I don't know if that's a personal thing where I feel that I don't want to be boxed in by saying, well, there's just only one way to be. But I have found the thing that gives me joy. I have found the thing that I'm good at, that I continue to do. And again, it doesn't have to relate to career or relationship. You can think about that in any terms that you want. But this idea of that this was the only path for me, it's a really good path. I'm enjoying it, but I think that discounts all the other possibilities that could have been. So when we say things like Jesus is the only one for me, God is the only, Christianity, Lutheranism, Evangelical Lutheran Church of America is the only one for me. Um, it's the one that really speaks to us. It's the one that really fits us. And that's not to say that we wouldn't make great Presbyterians. It's not to say we wouldn't make great Episcopalians or Buddhists or Hindus. It's all very contextual. But we found something that hopefully gives us hope, gives us meaning, gives us direction, and it's difficult sometimes. It's not just an easy come to church. Jesus pats us on the back and says, "You're a good person. Keep it up." We're challenged constantly throughout Scripture. Even those of us who really believe in our philanthropy and our ministry, we're still challenged by the Word of God and what that means to live into Christian community. And it was interesting to mention that in this uncertain time, they mentioned the Olympics. And even though this came out in 2021, there's no way that the authors could have known just how tenuous the relationship of the Olympics could be, just given the past month with the upcoming Olympics saying that there will be no diplomatic or political presence from the United States in China this coming Olympics. That athletes will still be able to attend, but there will be no political presence. And it seems like other countries are figuring that out as well. So this whole thing about unifying us, even now in this uncertain time, seems a lot more fractured than it used to be. But when we talk about unity, we're talking about valuing the differences. And when we say valuing the differences, we mean the differences that bring love and acceptance, not differences that look to further divide us, because there is a difference. There's a difference in differences. Um, we're looking for the ones that don't cause harm. We're looking for the ones that that don't truly separate us from our neighbor. Because when we look at other differences that claim superiority over someone else or claim a division between one group and another, that's not really a difference. We are called to honor. But when it comes to other types of differences, just the beauty of creation, how the passage in Revelation talks about these four strange creatures, each with their own identifiers. They're not all swirled together to make one unified being. They are all still different, but then they are all unified in their love, and in their hope, in their worship of God. And so as we venture out of Advent into Christmas, this is the season of hope. We had our longest night service the other evening, or the darkest night service, or Blue Christmas as it's sometimes called, a time where people are allowed to experience heartbreak and lament. We carry a lot of grief with us sometimes into the Christmas season. And so when we are inundated with things of, you be with family, you travel with family, you go to family, you open up your home, you spend a lot of time with friends, you do such and such, it's the season of joy, it's bright, it's merry. It's hard sometimes if you're not feeling that way. So in last night's service, I wanted to reframe it rather than as the season of joy, which if it is the season of joy for you, please, absolutely celebrate that. We don't want to diminish joy, that is for sure. But it's also the season of hope. And hope is something that we can carry with us like a gift, no matter what we are feeling. Even if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling joyous, if you're feeling just A-okay, you're just feeling complacent, even if you're feeling completely numb to the world. My wish for you is that you are able to carry hope with you. Hope that there are better days ahead. Hope that things are going to change for the better. Hope that God is indeed making a new thing, that these are the birth pangs of a new creation, one where we can all celebrate our individuality, one where we can all be together in love, acceptance, and, as our scripture said today, equity. Not equality, equity, where everyone gets what they need. That's my wish for you this Christmas season. I will end with the devotion's prayer. The Lord be with you. Holy God, you are our joy, our peace, our hope, our all. And you have blessed us with Jesus, the light of the world. Hold us in his light, transfigure us in its glow, and make us conduits of his unfailing love. Amen. Take care, and I will see you all soon.